I'm Jason Reed with Inner Edge Music, and I'm very excited to be here with Mathew Sweet. Mathew, thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you.
And first off the bat, we're here at the Echo in Los Angeles. A very exciting night. A lot of people getting ready for tonight's show. But I really want to talk about the new album, Tomorrow Forever. And it came out in June. I've seen a lot of great publicity and articles about the release. But more specifically, I wanted to ask you about the production and the funding for this album, because it was somewhat unique in the sort of back catalog of Mathew Sweet albums.
Yes, I ran a Kickstarter campaign summer of 14. It did really well, raised a lot of funds, and I had sort of naively promised the record would be done really soon, And immediately
You were so optimistic and jazzed up. Yeah.
I was very optimistic and jazzed up. It's you kind of have to be that way to do the Kickstarter thing because it's very personal, So I really felt like I owed it to the fans, I sweated it out the whole time hoping they would be happy, And my mother died right after the campaign, and that sort of set me adrift a little bit. And then that next spring, we really got started on the album. And I recorded it in 3 batches, a total of 38 songs. Then got it down to 17 for the main album. And there's sort of a satellite record we call Tomorrow's Daughter that has 12 songs as well. So we'll make that available at some point.
Yeah, those lucky Kickstarter supporters that funded you from the beginning, that believed in this album from the beginning, they were rewarded with that release.
Really in the know.
I've done a little research. Yeah,
really in the know. Yeah, because I had pitched with the Kickstarter thing that I would make demos, and then you could also buy a demos download. That it became quickly apparent that I'd never finish if I made demos and then made real recordings. Gotcha. So I just started doing real recordings of all the ideas.
Gotcha. Well, it's a great album, Mathew, and I love it on so many levels. And I had read, as you just mentioned, the untimely passing of your mother, rest in peace. The track You Knew Me, also a deeply personal song off this release. One of your more sort of emotional tracks, really.
Yeah, that one, there's something about how my mother and I were very similar, and that made us sometimes really polarized, and I sort of, it touches on in the lyrics that, we both had the same fears and anxieties kind of back and forth between us, but I'd never sit down and go, I'm going to write a song about my mother or about something like that, but just in the doing a wide range of kinds of songs, it just sort of comes into it a little bit, and so it's not really blatant, but I'll have times when I'm listening to something, I'll go, this makes me have some sort of feelings,
Gotcha. Well, and a lot of critics that love the album are saying that in some ways it's sort of a Mathew Sweet coming full circle, in that there are definitely sounds in the album, the fuzz box, that classic, certain sort of classic Mathew Sweet sounds, but even more contextually, the fact that, you and your wife moving from LA back to Nebraska, and sort of kind of a shift in perspective, that coming back home, so to speak, and that was part of this process with the recording of this album and sort of the greater context there.
Yeah, I mean, once I got going, I felt very grounded working in Omaha, and I have a room in my house that's the studio room. It's not really built as a studio, but I've never really had an officially built one. It's always my studio in the house, but it's some room or rooms. But I felt really grounded. I felt like I was starting to remember a little bit more about when I was really young and when I first got into listening to records and playing electric guitar. I was a bass player initially, electric bass, I should say. And I don't know, it just gave me a really solid feeling, and it's been really easy to write, and I've continued writing since the record as well, so I feel like right now for material I'm on easy street or something.
You've got some stuff in the bank.
I've got a lot going,
Yeah. Well, Matthew, just one more question for you. I know you got to get going to get on stage here in a little bit, but I've always been curious about your influences. In many respects, you're an artist that sort of wears your influences on your sleeve. The Under the Covers album, and various references to Fleetwood Mac and Todd Rundgren and different people that have been inspirations. But I always wanted to ask you more precisely what the very first record or album was that you purchased when you were young, when you were a boy. Can you remember that?
I don't know if I remember the very first thing. There are some things I remember. I remember I bought a 45 of the Beatles song Nowhere Man. Okay. I must have heard it on the radio or something, because I don't know how I would have known to buy that one. My family didn't have an album with it on it. We had Revolver and the Help soundtrack, I think, were the ones I saw around. I bought, in about 5th grade, the ELO record with Telephone Line on it. Okay. That's one of the first records I bought, like an album, and I went out and bought it,
With your money, so to speak. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. And also the album Fragile by Yes. I kind of learned to play bass off of Yes records. I got, they'd done a lot of cool records before that, so when I had that record, I got into whatever older records of theirs were around. And I sort of would listen and by ear learn the bass parts, which were sort of really complex. But
I was going to say, because that's prog rock. I mean, you had those riffs that were
complex, but it was also really melodic in a nice way, and the bass playing was as well. And so that gave me this sort of technical training of just kind of knowing how to get around. And then, punk new wave invasion happened, and everything was eighth notes and stuff, and that was cool too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one last plug for Mathew on tour. You have quite a few tour dates. The tour is rolling, the next leg of the tour. And for folks out there that are watching that might want to come check out Mathew, any sort of enticements there? Got some new material and some classics too.
Yes, we play lots of oldies, but we also are playing quite a few new songs, and audiences seem to really be into that. So we've been having fun shows. It's kind of always good, so come on out.
It's always good. I can't think of a better phrase to use when describing the wonderful music of this man next to me.
Well, I would never make such a claim, but it kind of fell out awkwardly.
But I can, so I did. So thank you, Mathew, for your time, man. It was a real honor, and I wish you all the best with the tour.
Thank you. Thanks for the support.